Thanks to the support as a channel member, Nathan Rowley. We don't mess around, boys and girls. We are officially learning French. And as you can see, I've finally unlocked the French lesson on Duolingo. Not a sponsor, although, you know where to find me, Duolingo. I've finally unlocked the level that has a football on it, which presumably is going to really, really help me with managing a football team in France. So let's do a... What did I hear? Je. I heard je? Je? Oh, je. Okay. Never mind. Nous avons un chien. Chien is dog. Do you have a dog? I think. Or how? Okay, so we don't have a do. We have a dog. We have a dog. Oh, basically French. I don't see what it's got to do with football, though. Hello, and welcome to part 9 of the Tour de France. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our two biggest games left for the remainder of the season. We are away against both Chateau and Vignuel, and we go into it fresh off the back of our first league defeat of the entire series against the team now third place in the league. And in this title race, FC Quest Tourangeau 37, which is probably how they say it. We've missed some bits out there as well. They beat us. They actually beat us in the last game. We lost 3-1 at home. Like I say, it's our first and only so far league defeat that we've had in the entire series. And this is what the league table looks like. 16 games played off of what is a 24-game season, so not much to play after this. We are still comfortably the best team in the league as far as I'm concerned. Today's episode will hopefully prove that, but 49 on our goal difference, way ahead of everybody else. You can see we've got the top 3 for top goal scorers. We've got the top 3 for average rating. We've got the top assist maker. We've got the top man of the match maker, top clean sheets, top for yellow cards. I don't know if I've ever had a clean sweep before. I love the fact that Big Fat Dennis is third on the goal scorers chart, despite being our backup striker now. But we are 6 points clear of Chateau, who we play first, and 9 points clear of Vignuel, who we play in the second match in today's episode, although Vignuel do have 2 games in hand that if they were to win both their games in hand and beat us, they would be level on points with us, albeit with a worse goal difference. So this promotion race, title race, very much on. We need to perform today. Transfer-wise, there has been a little bit of business since you were last with me. Just the one player coming in, Joris Tabouche. We were a little bit light on central midfielders earlier in the season, so we've brought this guy in on loan from Nancy for the rest of the season. He's only played 1 game so far, but he did join us. I was going to say relatively late in January. He didn't. He arrived on the 2nd of January. We don't really need him very often. We've got quite good central midfielders, but it's nice to have an extra one to throw into the mix. The one thing that has changed squad-wise since the last time you were with me is we've thrown in a lot more of our young players. If we sort this first team squad by age, you can see David Carter, now old enough to actually play for us, so he hasn't yet because he got injured just after his birthday. Diallo's still knocking around. Stephen Boyd is now a regular starter. He's played 15 games, started the last 4, actually weighing in with a few goals as well. I think he's probably my first choice starting centre-back at this point. Michael Oliver, still knocking about. Cisse is someone we've moved up from the B team. He's got 4-star potential. Another one who came through our youth system. Kingsley Gotan is a left winger, again, who's come through our youth system. Gabriel Fournier is another youngster, 5-star potential. And probably the pick of the bunch, Gerald Lotis is a 5-star potential striker who Nancy, who we signed the guy off loan from, actually made us an offer of £15,000 during January, which we just kind of laughed out of the room. But the fact that they were willing to make an offer for him when he was down in our B team, hammering in the goals, 17 goals from 13 appearances for Tour 2 this season and an 8.45. That kind of, I didn't notice that as it was happening. Nancy did. They came in with the offer and we're like, okay, now you've noticed, we've noticed too. Let's get him into the first team squad. And that's when we saw some of the others down there as well. And it is a very large first team squad now. There's a lot of players we need to move on. The likes of Niang is done. Combo as well. These players are never going to play for us. Beban a lot of these boys we brought in the summer to fill out the squad. Looking back, should have just used the young players, because as I've been giving contracts to the young players as the season's gone on, the wage situation is getting worse and worse. We are now nearly £3,000 a week over our wage budget. When I finished my transfers, we were only £1,000 over. The other 2,000 has all come from giving contracts to young players. But how could we not look at the young talent that we've got at the club? If we sort this by potential, the highest potential players are all our young homegrown players. I mean, they're all earning sort of 100, 200, 300 pounds a week. Poor old Ibrahim Diallo, who's played more games than any of them's on £10 a week. He doesn't, I mean, we don't say anything to him. He hasn't noticed. But the rest of them are on half decent money. I think we just have to take the hit now, knowing that a lot of the older fringe players, we're just going to let them go and really focusing on these young players, because we have quite the bunch of young talent at the club. But let's talk of youngsters. My door is slamming. One moment. My office door wasn't shut properly. Goodness me. So this is the team that we are going to be sending to Chateau. We've got Goda in goal, a back four of Amimi, Buhanga, Boyd and Temi Toppy, Brian Perron, Tabouche in midfield. He plays today because of the suspension to Dumas. So Tabouche comes in, getting the nod ahead of Diallo and Jean-Marie on the right-hand side, and then Lokorofo and Bouzrara up front, with, of course, Big Fat Dennis ready to come on from the bench if needed. He is the greatest super sub in the history of the universe. And, of course, I can now ask him if he has a dog. So, I mean, it's all coming together here at Tor. It's a wonderful thing. I can't believe I'm actually doing Duolingo for a Football Manager series, and they're not even paying me for it. Lamine Buhanga is there, though, with a goal 10 minutes in. We don't need to worry about the Duolingo for a minute. Who cares if I can speak French? I can speak football. And it's Chateau 0. That's their name, isn't it? Tor 1. It's from a corner. It's what we do best. We love a corner around these parts. And wins today, and that wraps up promotion as far as I'm concerned. It won't be mathematically there, but I'm fairly confident if we win both of these matches today, I'm fairly confident that tomorrow you're going to be seeing a transfer special, because we don't need to show you it getting rubber stamped. If we're well clear at the top of the league, we'll take that as an assumption that it's just going to finish off well. And if it does all start to fall apart after this somehow, obviously we can include them in tomorrow's video somehow. But Jean-Marie is there after 31 minutes to nod in at the far post to make it 2-0. And this is all, it's all going to plan at the moment. I'm hoping the fact that we picked up that first defeat in a year and a half in our previous match has hopefully been the wake-up call that we needed after stuttering just a little bit. I mean, we brought a lot of young players into the squad. Both Bouzrara and Lokorofo have had injuries. Big Fat Dennis has played quite a lot of football since the last episode. We've had to get more of those youngsters involved, and we are pretty much back to a full-strength team now. Dumas being the exception because of his suspension. And I think as a full-strength team, we are comfortably better than anyone else in this league, and it's showing again today. And there is Yad Lokorofo with his 16th goal of the season to make it 3-0 before half-time. And that is lovely old stuff. It's a bit of a shame, really, that this year we're in an even smaller league where we play even fewer games. So we're not going to get we're probably not even going to get a 30-goal striker this season, never mind a couple of 50-goal strikers, a 60-goal striker, because we're just not going to play enough games of football. We don't have that secondary cup competition to play in. We got knocked out of the cup itself a little earlier, and we've got fewer league games. We're actually going to play fewer than 30 games in total this season, which is unheard of, really, and does mean the striker stats aren't going to look quite as impressive until you look at them on a goal per game basis. But we've had a hay fever attack. Pollen is in for Chateau. Where's my nasal spray? All I've got is olive oil, ear drops. That's not the same. I had a nasal spray and I can't find it. We can't fight him off. And it is 3-1. I did notice on the scores, just as they were about to score, and I was about to say, Vignuel are losing. So that is huge. Remember, they're the ones who, if they'd have won their games in hand and beaten us, and of course kept winning in between, matched our scores in between, they would have ended up level on points with us. a defeat for them now before we even play them pretty much rules them out of things. That was a little bit too close for comfort. Chateau have come out in this second half like they're actually going to try and be a little bit more competitive. I mean, Vignuel are 4-2 up all of a sudden. They have just exploded into this second half. From 2-1 down, it's now 4-2 to Vignuel, and they are right back in the mix. Right, Perron is going to come off for Diallo, and we're gonna get Big Fat Dennis on to play up front. We don't play him as a target man anymore. We just let him do whichever role he's coming on to replace. We will have a look at Kingsley Gotan, one of our, I was going to say new youngsters. All the youngsters have been here the same amount of time, but we'll have a look at him. And you know what? Locarofo wasn't fully fit coming in, so we're going to have a look at Lotis as well, who is a pressing forward, I think. Yeah, so we will make him, we'll let him play in his preferred role as a pressing forward alongside Big Fat Dennis playing as an advanced forward. And we'll leave it there with those 4 substitutes for now. But the 2 new youngsters for you to keep an eye on, Gotan and Lotis, they're the next wave of the future of this football club as we continue to focus in on the youngsters. So wouldn't it be lovely if Lotis could get his first goal for the club in a game that you were watching with in a title, not a title decider, but close to title decider. We're just going to take Temitope off for the last 10 minutes, give him a little bit of a rest. We've got Jocelyn there on the bench who can come on and replace him, just to let him have a little bit of a rest. And there's Diallo, who's becoming, but you know what, for £10 a week, that boy's starting to look more and more comfortable in our central midfield. I love the fact that Diallo and Boyd are now like the old school youngsters, and we've got the next wave coming through now, where the conveyor belt has begun here at Tor. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of our own youngsters on the pitch at the moment. We've obviously got others that are homegrown throughout the club. I mean, Big Fat Dennis is officially homegrown at club player. Buzrara was originally through the Tor youth team, left and then came back. But we are starting to put together a nice little homegrown setup here. Big Fat Dennis to Lotis, the 17-year-old, playing it into Diallo, who shoots from range, and it goes just over. What's going on in the Vignuel game? They are now 6-2 up. I mean, they've been angered there, haven't they? They've gone 2-1 down. They are not having any of it, and they are now just doling out the punishment. Stephen Boyd with a header right at the end of this one that goes just over. But we have ended this game with a 3-1 victory away from home. We'll just check in on the other results in the league table as well. We've got one more game to play before Vignuel. There's a non-important match before the next big important one. So I'll play that one off camera. But first, let's just have a look at what our permutations currently look like. So we're there on 46 points. The team who beat us, Tourangeau, are 6 points behind us. We're not really worried about them because we don't play them and they're 6 points behind us. Then there's Chateau, who are now 9 points behind us. They're done. The team to watch out for is Vignuel, who've just put 6 goals past the team just below them, Diols. If they win, like I say, if they win those games in hand and beat us, they are level on points with us. So just like last season, although they're down in 4th at the moment, Vignuel are emerging as our closest challengers. And if they have improved as much as I think they've improved, I think we're going to have quite the battle on our hands when we play them in a minute. Nice, comfortable 2-0 victory over Saint-Jean-le-Blanc. And this is how the league table is looking. As you can see, Vignuel have won another game. They've won a game in hand as well. And as we play them at their place now, they are in excellent form and only 6 points behind us with a game in hand. So still in that situation where if they beat us and they win their game in hand, it is all to play for and we actually have a title race. But a win here for us stretches that lead out to 9 points with, 5 games to go? And we're pretty much done at that point. So this is the team that we're putting out there. Stephen Boyd, unfortunately, has picked up an injury. He's going to be out for the next 3 weeks with a twisted ankle. David Carter, who is now old enough to come into the team, has also picked up an injury. So he can't come into the team as his replacement. So it is the return of Camera at the back. So it's going to be Goda in goal, a back four of Mimi, Buhanga, Camera and Temitope, Brian Perron and a returning Dumas alongside Jean-Marie in midfield. And then Buzrara is up front with Big Fat Dennis. Last year's strike partnership is reunited due to an injury to Yad Lokoro-Fo, who's going to be out for the next... I mean, he's on the bench. He's going to be out for the next few days. Otherwise, he will be fine. So, we just got to win. That's all it comes down to. A win here, and we are effectively back in the 4th tier, where you could argue that's where we belong. 2 genuine relegations in Tor's fall from grace in recent years, and the 2 administrative ones, and we have grabbed ourselves a goal inside the first 6 minutes of this game, and of course it's Buzrara. The in-swinging free kick from Brian, nodded across by Perron, and Buzrara is there at the far post to knock it in. It is Vignuel 0, Tor 1, and Buzrara's rounded the keeper here and absolutely bottled his finish. He looks very lively today. He's enjoying playing as a poacher. He was playing as an advanced forward alongside target man Big Fat Dennis last season, but he seems to be really enjoying life as a poacher. And another example of it there, although he did, like I say, mess up the finish. All eyes on Bath in this game, who is considered one of the best players in the division. And if we do get promoted and Vignuel gets stuck in this league, he's definitely a player that's worth a look for us, I think, because he's been quite the thorn in our side for a year and a half, 2 years now, and probably deserves to make the step up to tier 4 with us. There he is, taking a corner. It's headed clear by Camera and Jean-Marie with the chance for a breakaway, but it obviously didn't get anywhere because the highlight just stopped. It remains 1-0, sorry, not 2-0. What has gone on there? Dumas, I think, has been sent off again. This man is more trouble than he's worth. he got sent off in the game that we lost, and now he's been sent off again. We're just Perron's going to be the midfield on his own for now. Probably not the best plan. But I don't really want to sacrifice one of the strikers when we're only 1-0 up. But Dumas is really doing his best attempt at messing up our season. I think he's probably one who we will be looking to move on in the summer. Let Diallo take over. We might even give him a pay rise, like £15 a week. Let Diallo take over as our starter in central midfield and move him on, because he's just an absolute liability, as he's shown again there. Right, what should we do here? I guess what we should do is sacrifice one of the strikers. Poor old Big Fat Dennis is going to be taken off here, I think. But if we push the midfield forward, drop him in there, Tabouche can come on for him and do that. And then we'll just do that. And that seems like a more sensible shape for a team that are 1-0 up. Although Bath with the free kick, and luckily the header goes just over. I don't want Buzrara playing I don't like poachers up front on their own. So he can go back to playing as an advanced forward if he's going to be up there on his own. Perron winning a header. In fact, he doesn't win the header, and it is Bath again who is pulling all of the strings for Vignuel here, and they are in, and we have got away with one a little bit there. Camera with the last-ditch block to let the ball go over the crossbar, and it's Vignuel with a corner, Bath to take it again, and Camera heads clear again, but only as far as a Vignuel player, but luckily the effort is a poor one. We also need to keep an eye on this lot, the Tourangeau, who beat us a couple of games ago. They're 4-0 up over the other team that came up with us last season, Portuguese Borges. But, I mean, they're so far behind, I don't think we need to worry too much about them. If things end like this, we are happy. Right. Brian is going to come off for Gotan. We're going to drop him back there because he doesn't really play as an attacking midfielder. Actually, he can. You know what? He needs to learn, because that might be a role that he has to play as time goes on. What else have we got in the bench? I don't really want to bring Lokoro-Fo on if I don't have to. Michael Oliver can come on, though. Always like to get my youngsters involved so he can come on for Buhanga. And we will leave it there for now. We don't need to make loads of unnecessary changes. Keep the team as strong as it can be. That's Camera there with a good, solid header. Plays it forward to Jean-Marie, who's got Buzrara ahead of him. Plays it back into Jean-Marie. We're not used to attacking in this kind of shape. Just the one striker in the middle. But it is Salah Buzrara. You only need one. When he's as good as this one, you only need one in the middle. A possible little look at an attacking shape that we'll be using a lot the further we move up the leagues. A front three, and Buzrara demonstrating that he could very much be a part of it. His second goal of the game, and likely the goal that just about secures our back-to-back promotion and our return to where we belong in Tier 4. The hard work starts tomorrow as we look to... there's his hat-trick. The hard work starts tomorrow as we look to start working our way back up the leagues. I think we're probably a Tier 4 level club. It's going to get hard from here, I think. But Buzrara, he wants to win the Golden Boot. And fair enough. It's basically between him and Lokorofo. Lokorofo's been injured at the wrong time. I think this does put Buzrara at the head of the Golden Boot hunt. And look at that league table. It is a beautiful thing with 5 games to go. Like I say, if something goes wrong, I'll show you that. But let's assume nothing is going wrong here. We're just going to win our last 5 games because we win all our other games. And we will, I'll show you how the run-in turns out in tomorrow's transfer special. But the main priority for tomorrow is getting that wage bill down and putting together a squad that can be competitive in Tier 4. Because remember, earlier this season, we saw in yesterday's episode, we faced a middling Tier 4 team, and we weren't great against them. This isn't a team that's going to step up again and be all-conquering next season. We're going to need to do some work on the system. We're going to need to do some work on the squad. If we're going all in on these youngsters, I think next season might end up being a little bit of a consolidation season before we start charging up the leagues again as they develop. But we will figure all that out tomorrow. For now, we're going to celebrate a promotion early because why not? What's the worst that can happen? Celebrating a promotion now. Nothing can go wrong from here, right? This is the league table. I mean, look, it looks fine. I think we're going to be fine. Oh, Lokorofo is... They're level. They're both on 15 goals. That's going to be quite the battle to see which one of them ends up as top scorer. But yeah, we're winning the league. No one's going to stop us at this point. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. Thank you very much for watching.